The topic is internal audit function, and our today's focus is on the key performance indicators for the internal audit function. Key performance indicators for the internal audit function. Now, key performance indicators are essential for measuring the effectiveness and the efficiency of an internal audit function. And they provide a quantitative and qualitative assessment of the department, the function's performance, and also help to identify areas of improvement. So just like any other department, just like any other function, because you know the internal audit function is a function of the internal audit department. Other departments may also have their own key performance indicators, which help in measuring the effectiveness and the efficiency of the department's function. So in this lesson, we're going to highlight some of the key performance indicators. And we'll group these indicators into several categories, because we have financial indicators, we have operational indicators, we have timelines of audit reports, and so on. So, do you understand the subtopic? We are discussing the indicators, performance indicators for the internal audit function. So the first category is the financial key performance indicators. 1. Financial key performance indicators. Financial. And one example of a financial key performance indicator is the audit cost per employee. Audit cost per employee. The audit cost per employee. Now, this performance indicator measures the cost of the internal audit function relative to the size of the organization's workplace. Relative to the size of the organization's workplace or workforce. Let me say workforce. So we take the total cost of audit, then we divide by the number of employees in the organization. What you then have is the audit cost per employee. Do you understand? Then we have the cost savings achieved. Cost savings achieved. The cost savings achieved. Cost savings achieved. Now, this indicator measures the financial benefits realized from the internal audit functions recommendations, such as cost reductions, such as revenue increases, and so on. Because we recall, candidates, at the end of the internal audit functions work, the internal audit department may make certain recommendations which could be in relation to the internal controls or even the governance structure, having examined the operations, the processes, the procedures within the company. The internal audit department may make certain recommendations for improvement. Such recommendations may result in cost savings. There are cost savings that may be achieved as a result of the recommendations. It could be cost reductions or even just revenue increases as a result of the recommendations. So that is an example of a financial key performance indicator. Then 3, we have what we call the return on investment. ROI, return on investment. This is another key performance indicator that calculates the financial return on the investment in the internal audit function by comparing the benefits achieved to the costs incurred. What is the total investment in the internal audit function? What are the benefits? You divide the cost and the benefit, then you have the return. Is there any return when you compare the costs and the benefits? So it calculates the financial return on the achievement or on the investment in the internal audit department by comparing the benefits achieved and the costs incurred. So these are 3 financial performance indicators. Then we have operational key performance indicators. Operational key performance indicators. And one such indicator, an example of an operational key performance indicator, is a number of audits completed. Number of audits completed. Now, this indicator measures the productivity of the internal audit function and its ability to meet its planned audit coverage. So within a financial period, before the financial period, the internal audit function may have a plan on the number of audits that they intend to complete within that accounting period. They may say 20 audits. Different audits could be audits on different aspects of the company. Could be the internal audit, internal controls, different aspects of the internal controls. Could be operational audits or procedural audits or the governance audit. So the department may have that plan on the number of audits that they intend to complete. So the operational key performance indicator we are calling the number of audits completed measures the productivity of that department. It also measures the ability to meet the planned audit coverage. That's what we are calling the number of audits completed. There is also the average audit duration. Average audit duration. Average audit duration. Average audit duration. Average audit duration is another key performance indicator, an operational key performance indicator, which measures the efficiency of the audit process. This indicator also identifies areas where improvements can be made. Efficiency. How fast does this department conduct an audit? Duration. Because if the auditor had planned to have, say, 10 audits, then it end up, the department ends up just completing one. That means that the resources were used throughout the year to carry out one audit. Average duration period, if it is 12 months for one audit, then you can see that such a department may not be efficient. You understand? So the average audit duration is a key performance indicator that measures the efficiency of the audit process. How efficient is the department in carrying out these audits? So the purpose for these key performance indicators is to help the company or the department identify areas of improvement. Maybe if the duration is too low, it could be the staff are not well trained, they are not efficient, or the department does not have the relevant resources to complete projects as planned. You understand? Another example is number of findings per audit. Number of findings per audit. Number of findings per audit is an operational key performance indicator which measures the effectiveness of the internal audit function in identifying issues and identifying areas of improvement. Audit findings, audit queries, problems. How many areas did the department, for example, identify that requires improvement? Because it is impossible to carry out an audit and not find out any area of improvement or identify any issue. Because it's not possible that the whole organizational processes, there are no issues, no room for improvement. It's not possible because organizations are run by people, individuals who are not perfect. And therefore, the work they do cannot be perfect. There is always room for improvement. So when the department fails to find any issues, then that is an indicator that that audit function is not effective. Because the idea is to identify issues to do with errors, frauds, weaknesses in the internal control systems, and so on. So if the department does not identify any issue, then that's an indicator that the internal audit function is not effective because it is not meeting its objectives as intended. So you see, the internal audit function is like a watchdog. But this watchdog also need to be watched through these performance indicators. Number of findings, issues that were found per audit. How many issues were identified during audit one, during audit of the internal controls, during the audit of the governance structures, during the audit of the operations? Were there issues that the internal audit function identified? Operational key performance indicators. Do you understand? Operational key performance indicators. Do you understand, candidates? Now let's proceed. We may have another key performance indicator known as the percentage of recommendations implemented. Percentage of recommendations implemented. Percentage of recommendations implemented. This key performance indicator measures the extent to which the management is taking action on the internal audit function's recommendations. Because it's possible for the internal audit function to identify weaknesses, identify areas of improvement, and even submit recommendations for improvement to the management for the purposes of implementing the recommendations. It's one thing to do that, but it's another thing for the management to take up the recommendations and implement them. So if the internal audit function has identified, say, 15 or 10 issues or 20 issues, and out of these 20 issues, only 10 have been acted upon by management. So that is 10 over 20. Okay, times 100. This is just 50% percentage of recommendations implemented. But the idea is to have all the recommendations implemented. So if this is the case, if not all the recommendations are not implemented, this is a key performance indicator that now goes a long way to help the company in now finding out why these recommendations were not implemented. What is the reason? Then corrective measures are also taken. Maybe the audit committee can take up the matter with the management and work out a plan in future on how to ensure that all the recommendations are implemented. Otherwise, you see, these people could be just doing zero work. You are being paid to identify areas of weaknesses, make recommendations. If recommendations are not implemented, then it means that the organization is losing. There is no value for money when it comes to the internal audit functions. Number 5, we can, under operational key performance indicators, I cite the timeliness. Now, the timeliness here is in reference to the audit report. Timeliness of audit reports. Timeliness of internal audit reports. This is a key performance measure indicator that measures the efficiency of the internal audit function in issuing audit reports, internal audit reports. It could be a report on the internal controls. When is the report issued? Is it timely or there are delays. So that is an operational key performance indicator. You understand? Timeliness of audit reports. Currently, we are discussing internal audit function key performance indicators. Internal audit function key performance indicators. And the first indicator is the financial indicators. Audit cost per employee, cost savings achieved, return on investment. The second category is the operational key performance indicators. One is the number of audits completed. Number two is the average audit duration. Number three is the number of findings per audit. Number four, percentage of recommendations implemented. Number five is timeliness of audit reports. Then we may also have the third category, risk management. Risk management key performance indicators. Risk management key performance indicators. Now, one example is a number of risks identified. Number of risks identified is one key performance indicator. Number of risks identified. Now, this key performance indicator measures the effectiveness of the internal audit function in identifying and assessing risks. All right. How effective is the internal audit department in identifying and assessing risks during the last financial accounting period? Did the internal audit function identify any risks? And did the same department assess the risks? You understand? Then there is an indicator in relation to mitigation. Mitigation, because in risk management, identifying and just assessing risk is not enough. There has to be mitigation measures. So another key performance indicator in relation to risk management is the number of critical risks mitigated. Number of critical risks. Number of critical risks mitigated. Now, this measure, this indicator measures the internal audit function's success in addressing high risk areas. The indicator measures the success of the department in addressing high risk areas. After identifying and assessing the risks, the internal audit function ought to help in mitigation of the risks identified. Then just like the recommendations here, you may also have the percentage of recommendations implemented. Percentage of let me just say percentage of risks addressed. Let me use addressed. percentage of risks addressed. This indicator measures the overall effectiveness of the internal audit function in managing risks. You understand? Let's move on to the fourth category of the key performance indicators. And the fourth category is all about governance. Key performance indicators. Now, if you are a good student, you realize what is happening here. You see, we are just looking at categorizing these key performance indicators based on the scope of the internal audit function. The internal audit function performs operation of audits. It's in charge of risk management in an organization. It also helps in ensuring that the management and control of the company is effective. Governance structures. So another category of internal audit key performance indicators is governance performance indicators. And one such indicator is the percentage of board meetings attended. All right. Now, the percentage of board meetings attended is an indicator that measures the internal audit function's involvement in the organization's governance processes. You understand? A percentage of board meetings attended. We also have the number of issues reported to the board. Number of issues the internal audit department reported to the board during an accounting period. Now, this indicator measures the internal audit function's role in informing the board of significant issues in the company. Remember, we said that the internal audit function may directly report to the board through the audit committee. So in measuring the performance of this department, one key performance indicator is just by identifying the number of issues, counting the number of issues. How many issues did the internal audit function report to the board? Because that is what is expected. The internal audit function has a responsibility to report any significant issues to the board, because it's possible to identify issues but not report to the board. So in measuring the effectiveness of the internal audit function, we just count the number of issues that the internal audit function reported to the board. Three, we have level of board satisfaction. This is a qualitative key performance indicator in relation to the satisfaction of the board. This indicator measures the board's satisfaction with the internal audit function. Is the board satisfied with the role that is played by the internal audit function? Because the board has expectations from the internal audit function. Then you've done risk management, governance, operational. Then there are just other key performance indicators like employee satisfaction, employee satisfaction. Now, the key performance on employee satisfaction measures the satisfaction of the internal audit staff with their work environment and opportunities for professional development. These are employees of the department. Are they satisfied with their work environment? Are they satisfied with the opportunities that are coming their way, opportunities for professional development? Is there that kind of satisfaction from the internal audit staff? Then lastly, we have compliance with the professional standards. Compliance with professional standards. Compliance with professional standards. This is yet another key performance indicator which measures the internal audit functions adherence to relevant accounting standards and best practices.